Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by former Rollins women's lacrosse player Caroline Gastonguay. In her lacrosse career, Caroline played in 85 games, recording 214 goals, 131 assists, 163 ground balls, 89 caused turnovers, and 16 draw controls. This allowed Caroline to be named SSC Player of the Year, All-SSC First Team, IWCLA South Region First Team, U.S. Lacrosse Magazine All-American First Team, and receive IWCLA All-American First Team honors. I'm super excited to have her on the podcast today. So, welcome to the podcast, Caroline, and how is everything going?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Well, a few months ago, you graduated college. So, what have you been up to since then? And do you still plan on being involved with lacrosse now that your college career is over? I know that you're a coach. I know that you're coaching with Rollins, but I don't know if it was like official role or not.
So since I graduated, I actually started a full-time position at Cintas. And right now, in a rotation for a management trainee position. So basically I get like a bunch of different experience in each division, and then ultimately I'll end up in sales. And then yes, I am an assistant at Rollins as well. We had our first practice last week. And yeah, it's an official position, so I'm super excited about that too. And I
That's
also,
awesome.
I'm coaching in a team for M&D Orlando, which is a club team here, and I'm coaching the 2028 team, so they're rising freshmen. So they just started their freshman year.
That's awesome. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Well, it's good to hear that you're doing well, especially after your lacrosse career. So start from the beginning of your career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So you're from Lewiston, Maine. Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing lacrosse?
So honestly, there was not really much lacrosse in the area. My mom actually started the rec team that I played for, and all my friends played for, and my sister as well. But I started playing lacrosse because she actually played at the University of Virginia. She played there, went to a Final Four. So she kind of got us started basically since I could hold a stick. So when I was like 4 or 5 years old. My dad actually played professional tennis too, and he tried to get us into tennis, but neither me or my sister really liked that. We kind of like the team aspect more. And like I said, like growing up in Lewiston and just Maine in general, like lacrosse like wasn't really big at all. So my mom started the rec team, and then she started like the middle school team, and then eventually like our high school team as well. And we ended up going to the state final my senior year. We lost, but then the year after they actually ended up winning it, which I think was pretty cool because the program was only started 4 years prior to that. And then I'm trying to think what else. The club lacrosse in Maine honestly has gotten so much better. I think it started to get really good when my grade started playing lacrosse. So we were like 2018 grads, and even the year before that we were really good too. But I think since then it's just gotten better and better.
Yeah, growing up, like who are some of your favorite lacrosse players and teams that you like to watch?
Um, my mom honestly would always have like the Division 1 games on. So we would always watch like BC, North Carolina, Maryland, like the powerhouses, because it's just like it's so different, like watching like that level, like it's so fast paced. And it honestly got me into loving lacrosse even more because I really wanted to play at a high level like that too.
Now, you sort of talked about this a little bit in your previous answer, but talk a little bit about the lacrosse scene in Maine and what that's like, because obviously, compared to like other states in New England, it's not sort of a lacrosse hotbed, as like I would say Connecticut, Massachusetts, or even New Hampshire.
hmm Yeah, I think it was definitely like a little bit harder to get seen by college coaches, I would say, just because when you think of Maine, you don't really think of it as being like a hotbed, like you said. But I think it's definitely getting there. It's definitely getting a lot better. Like there are so many talented athletes, especially lacrosse players in Maine, back then and now. But I think that just like the more and more kids that like go to college, there's more like what's the word? It's just like it's getting better and people are seeing more of it, getting more exposure and stuff like that.
Now, before college, you played for your high school with St. Dominic Academy. Talk about your high school lacrosse days, what you took away from it, And what's your favorite memory from your St. Dominic days?
So we started the team when I was a freshman, and the first year we had to be JV because it was like the first year of the program. They didn't really want to throw us into like a league with teams that have been playing for years and years. So we went 12-0 the first year that we were JV, and then the next few years we like beat some pretty good teams in Maine who had been like very, very good for Maine in the past. And I would say that like playing at a smaller school, like where you have to like develop the other players, kind of got my like leadership style and stuff going because I had to like get all these girls like motivated and interested in playing lacrosse because we really had to start from like nothing and just like getting all my friends to come play. Like they ended up loving it. They ended up being so good. So I think that definitely just like me as a leader on the field definitely started developing in high school.
Now, how do you think your sort of club and high school lacrosse days sort of help prepare you for college lacrosse with Rollins?
Um, I think just playing with like a bunch of different like types of people, I think that's always hard, like going on to like a new team or it's a different atmosphere. You're gonna get a different culture no matter what team you're on. So I think just learning to like adapt and play with a bunch of different people, different personalities, different skill sets, stuff like that.
Now, talk about your recruiting process with Rollins and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at.
So I actually had like very like distinct rules when I was in the recruiting process. Like I knew I wanted to go south because I'm from Maine. It's cold like most of the year. So I knew I wanted to go south of Virginia. That was like my one rule. And then my dad's a college tennis coach at Bates College up in Lewiston, Maine. And that I've been around that school for like my entire life. And that school is like entirely brick buildings. I was like, the school I go to literally has to have zero brick buildings. Like I'm going to find it. And honestly, and that's like such a weird thing to say, but like it was important on my list. And I ended up being in the airport and my mom got an email from Rollins, I think, just being like, hey, like come to our camp. It was after President's Cup, which was at the Wild World of Sports at the time and like at Disney. And I was like, I've literally never heard of Rollins. Like I had never heard of it. And my mom's like, you're going, it's $50. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going. So I show up, I'm like, oh my God, like this is the prettiest campus I have ever seen in my life. Like, and we had at that point done like so many college tours. So I'd seen everything. And I love the coaches. Like, I know it sounds cliche, but like they literally are like my family, the two coaches, I could tell immediately, and the girls, I was like, I really want to play for this team. And I kind of knew immediately after stepping on campus and completing that first like ID camp that I wanted to go there. And then I went to like one or two more camps. I went to like the summer camp and then I went to the following ID camp and I ended up committing after that. But I knew from the moment I stepped on that I wanted to go there.
And once you got to campus, what was like the biggest adjustment you had to make to college lacrosse?
I think I would definitely say like the speed of play. Like it was a little shocking at first. Took me a few, and like also like the physicality of it too. Like I didn't really know what I was getting into coming to play like college lacrosse. Like I was super excited, like hope I would make an impact, but I really had never lifted before coming to college. So I was like a string bean. And I think like the physicality and then just like I said before, the pace of play. I think those are the two biggest things.
Now, you guys play in the SSC conference. I would argue it's probably the best conference in Division Two, especially with you Tampa winning this past year. I feel like sort of solidifies that claim, in my opinion, at least. But talk about it from your perspective, what it's like playing in that conference and just the competition that you face each game.
Hmm. That was definitely another thing on my list too. Like I wanted to go to a school where I could vie for a national championship. Like I wasn't going to settle for going to a school maybe was ranked D1, but like didn't have a chance of going to playoffs or getting into the tournament. Like I wanted to be on like a high caliber team that was playing against like the country's top competition. And that's just me being a super competitive person, but I didn't want it to be easy. So the SSC conference being the best conference in D2, like that was definitely um something that drew me to Rollins as well. And just like playing like my favorite part of the season is like conference play, conference tournament, and then NCAAs because that's when you're playing like the best teams. Like occasionally we'll get like a Delphi or like one of those teams to come down with us and play us, but that's kind of rare. So I honestly think that like that lacrosse is like the best part of the season. That's when you're getting better. That's when you're getting more chemistry with your teammates. And that's just when it's more fun because it's not fun when you're like blowing out a team or like, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather it be a close game.
Now let's talk about your team's performances over the years. So your first year was 2019, and your team made your first NCAA appearance where you beat Florida Southern in overtime before losing to Queens in overtime as well. What did you take away from your first tournament experience, especially playing in two overtime games where you both won one and then lost the other one?
Hmm. Um, it was honestly crazy. Like I wasn't expecting it to be like it was. Like it was very surreal. The atmosphere was totally different because like it's all on the line. Like you don't win, you go home. And I think the first game I honestly was playing a little bit nervous and I still remember like I don't think I was like I played a lot but I wasn't like that involved like with the scoring or anything like that. And which is fine, but like I was definitely a little bit more timid because I knew that we had like seniors on the team that like this could potentially be their last game and I wanted to like perform well for them. But when I know Lily scored the game winner, like we all just went crazy. It was like the best feeling. And then like our coaches were like, yeah, we booked 2 nights at the hotel. So like you guys are winning the first game because like we already booked for you guys to stay over, which I thought was nice because like they had so much confidence in us. And then the second game against Queens, yeah, it sucked. We lost in overtime, but like I'd rather that than get blown out or even it be like a 3 or 4 goal game because that means like we competed till the last second. And it was so fun. Like that those 2 games are probably two of my favorite games like in my career just because of what was on the line. But yeah, I love games like that.
Now, how have you learned to balance academics and lacrosse at such a high level?
I just like to stay busy, so I feel like my whole life I've always like jam-packed my schedule, so I'm pretty used to it. But you have like lift, you have practice, you have conditioning, and then you have class. So like in between that, you have to like find time to not only like finish your schoolwork, but also like have like social time with your friends, like make time for yourself. So I honestly think that just like ensuring that you set that time aside and like make sure you're getting ahead on your homework was really important, which I did. And because all my friends were in the same boat as me, like we always did it together. So yeah, I personally didn't think it was that hard just because I was with a group of 30 other girls that had to do the same thing. So the schedule was definitely hard to get used to at first, but after a few weeks, it was fine.
Now, obviously, the 2020 season was canceled in the middle of the year due to the pandemic. How'd you handle that challenge of not playing games and with the uncertainty of when you guys were going to play again?
Yeah, so it was crazy because you're like sitting in I was a sophomore when this happened, which seems like so long ago. And like our team that year was like so good. Like we were like we're going all the way this year, like we knew it, like we had such good confidence. And then when we found out that we weren't playing anymore, like first thing goes to like the seniors that like didn't get to have those games because like I got to have actually I got like mm, three more three more seasons after that. But first thoughts went to them because I felt horrible that they weren't going to be able to finish out their career unless they came back and took a fifth year, which I think only one of them did. And then it honestly was really hard because you go from practicing every day, like that's what I look forward to every single day. I was going to practice, seeing my friends, because my entire life had been revolved around lacrosse. And then just being forced to go home and sit in your house for a year. It was definitely like mentally draining. Like it was like you were questioning, like, oh, like what's your purpose? Like, what am I supposed to do? But we have a very good support system at Rollins, so it wasn't too bad in that aspect. I had a lot of girls and coaches to lean on, so it was good.
Now, let's fast forward to the 2022 and 2023 seasons, where your team lost to Florida Southern in the SSC conference semifinals in back-to-back years. What did you
Mhm.
learn from those games that you think helped you in the 2024 season?
Yeah, so I love playing Florida Southern because they're always great competition. I actually got to hang out with some of the girls at the senior all-star game this past summer, and they're awesome. Like, I love playing against them because they're just as competitive, but they're also great girls as well. Um, but I think definitely what we need to learn from it is that like those came down. I think one of them was like a 2-goal game. I forget what the other score was, but like every single like mistake in a game matters. Like if you can fix like 3 or 4 mistakes, that's like 3 or 4 goals right there. And like I feel like a lot of times like that just like blows past our heads, like, oh, like what could we have done? Like, and we try and look at the bigger picture about it, but like in reality, like the extra work outside of games and like practices, like that's what's going to make up for those little mistakes. And I think that's the most important thing I learned, and I definitely like picked up my own like individual work after those.
Now, as a grad student, and you were a grad student for 2 years, so what type of leadership did you want to bring towards the team? And were you more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
So I would say when I came to Rollins, I was definitely like a more like follow the rules, like silent leader, like lead by my actions. And I feel like I've always been like that. But I think definitely like my junior, senior, and then my 2 grad school years, I was definitely more vocal. I'm very type A, like I like to say what's on my mind. So I think that that finally came out when um I don't know. I think there was just a switch where I felt like, why am I being quiet right now? Like if I say something like this will help the team. So I think that's really what got me started talking more. And then obviously by my grad school years, I probably didn't shut up. So
And now probably can't stop talking as well, being a coach. So, because
yeah.
everyone's listening to you.
Yeah.
Now, individually, I wanted to ask you, what would you say has been the biggest improvement you've made to your game throughout your time with Rollins?
I honestly think it's probably my mental game and just lacrosse IQ in general. Like I feel like my stick work has always been really good. But I think when I used to make a mistake, I would like think about it for the rest of the game and it would probably like interfere with how I was playing. But like as I got more mature in my game and like kept playing, I was like, that one mistake, like just let it go because it's gonna negatively affect the rest of your game. So by the time I was a 6 year, um, if I made a mistake, I was like, whatever, like I'm gonna get the ball back. And my club coach would always tell me, like, it's the 3 seconds after the mistake you make that matters the most. Like, doesn't matter before, during, it matters the 3 seconds after because that's the biggest difference you can make. Like, you can let it affect you, or you can go get the ball. You can go get the ball back. So I think that that definitely, and then just like figuring out what my strengths are. I think COVID kind of messed with that a little bit because we were shut down for so long. And then when we got back, we had to wear masks. Like we couldn't do like contact defense. So I think I started to figure out like I was actually a pretty good dodger. I was a good feeder. And it definitely took a lot of like more game experience, but figuring out my strengths was definitely something I got better at too.
Yeah, and I also want to ask you, how did you work on your versatility as a lacrosse player? Because I always find it impressive when players have good, not just attacking numbers, but defensive numbers as well, which you've had throughout your entire career. So I was just wondering how you worked on that part of your game.
So actually the ride was like my favorite part of the game. Like I absolutely loved it. Like the back check was my favorite thing. And like sprinting down the field, like having that goal set, like I'm gonna get the ball back from this girl. I think that's mostly where my defensive stats came from. And also just like being the first person to the ball. Like my mindset was like, I want the ball on my stick, so I'm gonna go get it. Like I'm not gonna wait around for someone to give it to me.
Now, this past year, you played your final college lacrosse game, losing to Loon in overtime. What were your emotions after the game, and how have you reflected on your career with Rollins looking back on it now?
Oh, that was so upsetting. Especially in an overtime game. Like I said, like I would rather lose in that fashion. But it was definitely bittersweet because my sister is still on the team. She's a senior this year. I got to play with her for 3 years instead of one, which was the biggest blessing. Like I always say, like, yeah, COVID sucked, but I got to play with my sister for 2 extra years. So I think the biggest thing for me was one, not being able to play with her anymore. And then two, like having the sport be like the center of my life for like 20 years. Like it was just like crazy to me that like after one game, like it was all over.
So you're now a coach with Rollins. What has that experience been like for you so far? And what's it like coaching people that were your teammates just a few months ago and your sister as well? That must be kind of odd, but also cool at the same time.
I mean, I feel like I was like a little bit of a coach last year, like and the year before, just like on the offensive side of the field. Like I would usually like direct, like call the plays, like read the defense and stuff like that. So it's not too different in that aspect, but definitely like they're on the field now and I'm on the sideline. Like I have to learn to help in a different way. And my sister listened to me anyway, so I don't think it's gonna be any different, any different with her. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be like a little bit weird for the first few weeks, I feel like, just because like I did like these girls like are like my best friends and it's just going to be like separating that now with coaching, which I think I'll be able to do. But it's going to be nice to be able to like help them in a different way now that I'm not on the field and see them like do really well. Like I'm really excited to see like all the girls that were on the team last year come back and I'm excited to see them kill it. So
That's awesome. I think now I could probably listen to my sister be a coach, but I feel like 5 or 6 years ago, probably not, because I would have been probably the annoying little brother that didn't want to hear what she had to say. So
yeah.
it's probably glad that it's happening now versus like in high school or something like that.
That's what Shorty always says. He's like, it's gonna be no different for like Shar and Caroline because Caroline always told Charlotte what to do anyway.
So let's move on to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some non-lacrosse questions to get to know you more off the field, and I'll give you some of my answers as well to make this more fun. So
Okay.
first one is, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Hmm. I was trying to think about this earlier and I couldn't think of someone, but um I'm trying to think. Mm, honestly, probably Jennifer Lawrence, just because I love the Hunger Games and she's a really good actress.
That's a
And
good answer.
yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you. I sort of don't have any celebrity that looks like me. So I can't. It's hard for me to like pick a celebrity that looks like me that could play me in a movie. But I'll probably pick um, probably like Tom Holland. I like the Spider-Man movies a lot,
Yeah.
so I feel like it would be cool to have him play me in a movie. So I'd go with him.
I was trying to think like what movies like I've seen the most and like me and my family like always watch the Hunger Games like whenever we're together. So I was like, I gotta pick her.
Yeah, I watched like obviously Miracle is my favorite movie,
Yeah.
but I don't know any of the actors' names in that, so it's hard.
Mhm.
I can't pick anyone from that. And then Forrest Gump, but Tom Hanks is like 20 years older, or probably 30 or 40 years older than me at this point, so I feel like that wouldn't work out that well. Now, if you could play a game with any professional sports team in the world, who would you pick?
Like would I be playing their sport or
You
would
would
it
just
be
be on the team. Like you could like
Oh, okay,
I would
okay.
pick the Bruins and be like the backup goalie, so I wouldn't have to play and help like lose a game because I'm probably not that good.
If I could be on a team and like actually be good at the sport, like I would be like as good
Hmm.
as that. Probably like the US gymnastics team because like I think that's so cool. Like I wish I was that flexible. Like my trainer always told me I was like the least flexible person he's ever seen. So I would probably want to be on the Olympic gymnastics team.
Yeah, they seem like they have good camaraderie too.
Yeah. And it's just
Um,
such a cool sport. So I
yeah.
wish I was good at gymnastics.
Now, who has the best style on the Rollins women's lacrosse team? And I'll give you a caveat since you're a coach, they have to be a former player from like your
Oh,
time there.
I would not say I would not. He like, yeah, no. I would say, one of my friends, Allie, she is still on the team this year. She's a fifth year, but like she always looks so cute. She has the cutest clothes, and I think she has really good style.
Now, last non-lacrosse question is, what is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Hmm. Read or seen this week? Let me think. Um, I'm trying to think. Honestly, it's kind of interesting, I guess, but I was watching the football game on Monday night and Christian McCaffrey was out and I thought it was really awesome that shoot, what's his name? Is it like
Mason. I don't know
Mason,
his first
Jordan,
name.
Jordan Mason, maybe?
Something. I know
Yeah.
his last name is Mason, but I
Yeah.
forgot what his first name was,
That he
unfortunately.
like came into the game and like completely just like blew everyone away and like just went off basically. And like I love that because I like read this thing to the Rollins team like a few weeks ago and I was just like, you never know when like your jersey is gonna be called and you just have to be ready to go out and like perform. And I just like thought that that specific example was just like so awesome and like it was just like so fun to watch that game because I don't know. I was just like so happy for him. He did so well.
Yeah. I think the most interesting part about that story, to me at least, as a fan, was how he like said in his interview that he found out on Friday, but then the
Mhm.
coach said like they told him like on Monday, and it created a lot of controversy, and obviously it got him very upset, which is disappointing because that's what people shouldn't be focusing on. But
Yeah.
it's interesting with how gambling and fantasy have really affected sports in that level because people really want information to be out at a certain time, and it's a good conversation like when should a team announce information and how should they do it where it doesn't give the opposition a competitive advantage? I
Yeah,
think it's interesting to sort of talk to other people about that.
for sure.
So let's get back to some lacrosse questions now. First one is what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
Um, I think just like having like clinics and like different like open practices available for kids that maybe can't afford to like go play club lacrosse, like just like spreading the game that way. And I know like some organizations do that, but I think that's super important because not everyone like has the privilege to go like get a brand new lacrosse stick and like go to practice. And it's such a great sport, and I want everyone to have the opportunity, to be able to play it if they want to.
Now, what advice would you give to younger lacrosse players who want to be in the position that you are in, I guess you were in the past
Mhm.
6 years?
Honestly, you just have to have a really competitive mindset and you can't take things personally. I wish I learned that sooner. Like once you step on the field, if someone says something to you, like they're saying it to make you better and you can't take it personally or it's going to affect your game. So I think definitely, that you're making sure your mental game is like just as good as your physical.
Now, last question I have for you, Caroline, is do you have any shout outs and who should we have on the podcast next?
Ooh. Um, I would say my sister just because she's so funny and like it's interesting to like hear a different perspective, especially since I played with her for so long. Um, but just shout out to the Rollins team and I miss playing with you guys. But I'm excited to see like how you guys do this year and I know it's gonna be great. And I'm excited to be there and coach you guys and hopefully bring home a championship.
Well, Caroline, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day and having this conversation with me. I enjoyed it a lot. You're a great player, even better person, and I wish you nothing but success in any of your future endeavors and obviously as a coach with Rollins next season.
Thank you so much for having me.